Hello, low carb and keto friends and family. Welcome back to the channel. Please stay tuned because we're going to talk about nature's candy. Yep, I'm talking fruit. Well, thanks again for joining us. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in, and I really appreciate the fact that you have subscribed and liked the channel. Oh, if you haven't, then please make sure you stop and do that right now, because these videos take a lot of time to produce and a lot of work to get this information out to you, and that is a way that you can help us so that we can get this information out to other people who are struggling to lose weight and who want to get healthier. They might not have the money to do so, and so these type of free resources are a wonderful asset for them to have. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about fruit today, and when I said nature's candy, it really is nature's candy. And let me tell you, we have so much misconception about fruit in general. So fruit has fructose in it. All fruit has fructose, which is the natural sugar that is contained within the fruit. Now, this fructose has to be broken down by our body, but the fructose, there's something unique about it in that it goes straight into our bloodstream, and our liver has to metabolize it and turn it into glucose. Now, you might remember from some of our previous videos that the carbs that we eat, etc., are already turned into glucose in our body. Now the liver is having to kind of work a little harder because it's got all this glucose. We can end up with sort of a buildup. So whatever it doesn't end up using for energy, it's going to end up storing for fat. And this can end up, causing like fatty liver disease and other things. I'm just wanting to go a little into some of the fruits that are more acceptable on a keto diet, and maybe some that might be low carb and not really best for keto. One of the ones that I have on the table here is a grapefruit. So grapefruit is keto friendly, and you would be able to have this on a ketogenic diet. If you wanted to kind of sweeten this up a little bit, like if you were just going to eat it, cut it in half and eat it, you could certainly put some stevia on it, some kind of non-sugar type of sweetener in order to enjoy that. You will have to still watch how much you eat as far as any of these fruit consumption, because it's not like you can eat them in an unlimited amount. And we're going to post a link that's going to have the carb counts for all of these fruits and vegetables, or faux vegetables, that we're going to talk about today. Lemons and limes are another great thing that we can use for keto. Typically, we're not going to be just eating those straight up, but we can certainly use slices of lemon or lime in our water or our drinks. We can use the juice to maybe do marinades, maybe use for guacamole, use the zest, etc. So those are another great keto-friendly fruit options. Some of the best fruits to have on keto would be raspberries and blackberries. These only have about 5 grams of carb per 1 cup serving, or excuse me, not 1 cup serving, per 3.5 ounce serving. So those can be a wonderful option for you on a low carb ketogenic diet. Strawberries, again, another great option. You want to be careful about how many strawberries you eat in a day. Probably don't want to go above, I'd say, about 8 medium strawberries. And if you're on keto, if you're on low carb, maybe you can get away with a little bit more. Blueberries, you can have blueberries in moderation, but those are one of the higher carb content ones. They contain more sugar, and so you really want to limit the amount of blueberries that you have. So maybe just a handful on the blueberries if you're going to have them. And then, you can kind of mix them and have a little bit of a medley. You can have them frozen to put in smoothies and so forth. You just want to make sure that your fruit is not pushing you out of that whole 20 carb zone or 20 to 50 carb zone, depending on if you're keto or if you're just low carb, etc. So typically keto is anywhere from under 50 carbs to under 20 carbs. It just depends on how resistant your body is. So for instance, someone like me, I try to stay to 20 carbs or under per day. Now, sometimes I do flex a little bit, just depending on what's going on in my life. I might just need to have 30 carbs or 35 carbs one day or 50 carbs one day because maybe I'm just craving something that day. I also wanted to talk, we've talked about all of these fruits on the table here. Peaches, cantaloupe, and starfruit are other low carb options. Obviously, if you're going to have peaches, you're not going to be able to have canned peaches or anything that's processed like this. This one's in heavy syrup, so it would definitely not be keto. But we would be talking about the actual raw fruit that you could enjoy, but they are higher on the carb scale. Again, you'd have to really have them in moderation. Now, we have fruits that we commonly think of as vegetables, but they're actually not vegetables at all. They are technically classified as fruits. I was surprised to hear about some of them. Now, most of you already probably know that an avocado is actually a fruit and not a vegetable. Whenever we're selecting any of our fruits, we want to make sure we're going for organic. We're going to try and get the best kind of fruit possible because we want to reduce pesticides, keep our diet as clean and natural as possible to kind of help get all those toxins out of our body. Another common mistake we make is considering tomatoes to be a vegetable rather than a fruit, but most people have already heard throughout the years that tomatoes are actually a fruit and not a vegetable. You can have tomatoes on keto. You do want to watch out for, again, if you're going to do canned tomatoes or pasta sauces, those are going to have carbs in them. So you're going to have to really watch the carb count to see. Now, as far as pasta sauces are concerned, there are other products on the market like Primal Kitchen and Rouse that are sauces developed for people on a low carb lifestyle. But even those, you have to use them in moderation and you have to consider your serving size when you have them. Now, peppers are also something that is a fruit and not a vegetable, and this one actually did surprise me because I was not expecting it. These sweet bell peppers are fruits. You can use them on a low carb ketogenic lifestyle. They're wonderful raw. You can dip them in like a queso or just some of these cheese spreads, soft cheese spreads that they have available in the grocery stores. They're delicious. You can cook with them. You can put them in soups. I put them in soups all the time. Another surprise for me was that olives are actually considered a fruit and not a vegetable. Olives are fantastic because they have that lovely salty pop to them. I love black olives, and oftentimes for a lunch, I'll just cube up some cheese, get some black olives, cut up some cucumber, which is also a fruit, not a vegetable, which again, I was very surprised to hear about. This one's an English cucumber, but I'll use the cucumber kind of as a cracker to hold everything, and maybe some slices of salami, and it's a lovely snack. I really enjoy that. I also have here an eggplant, again considered a fruit and not a vegetable. I'm not the biggest fan of eggplant, but I know many people out there enjoy it. You could slice this up and roast it, cube it up, and cook it on the stove. It does kind of have a very soft consistency and texture. It does not kind of hold firm. So however you end up cooking it, it's probably going to get pretty soft on you. Then just a couple of others here. Pumpkins, gourds, and squashes are all part of the family that are also considered fruits. Here we have some yellow squash. And actually there's an apple pie recipe out there using yellow squash as the apple substitute. And it's quite amazing, but when you stop and you think that actually this squash is a fruit and it's not a vegetable, it kind of starts to make sense. Zucchini, considered a fruit and not a vegetable. Another one that really surprised me. And again, you can see that we're trying to buy organic whenever we can, but zucchini is wonderful because it's one of those super versatile fruits on keto that you can cook in meals. You can add them to soups. You can use them as a noodle replacement. A lot of you probably buy zoodles, which are frozen, spiralized zucchini, and you can get those just ready to pop in your microwave for a couple of minutes and use them as a noodle replacement. I actually bought a spiralizer so that I can do this myself instead of buying the frozen ones. I have yet to use it though, so I haven't quite gone there yet. When I make zucchini lasagna, this is what I use for my noodles. I just slice up these zucchini on a mandolin and I use that as my noodles. And I've made it and it's delicious. I tell you, you don't miss the noodle at all. The funny thing is that once you start kind of getting into this whole keto low carb lifestyle, you start realizing some of the things that you gave up, you actually don't miss. You actually enjoy the fact that your substitutes start tasting better than what you used to, because what you used to eat, because those things are heavily processed. And once you're away from them and then you go back to them, you can taste it. You can tell that there's, hey, this doesn't taste as good as I remember or I thought. You know your body's kind of starting to make changes. This is what I wanted to let you know about fruits today. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you're encouraged, and I hope that we can help you with any questions that you may have. Again, please make sure that you like and subscribe and you hit the notification bell. It really helps us out. And don't forget, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm just some chick on keto. Catch you in the next one. See ya. Bye.